Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and tonight I'm going to do a video that I've kind of been holding off doing for a little while. I wanted to do this back in November, but it's kind of a long story. I was looking for a little help on it, and unfortunately, circumstances beyond everybody's control, that help never came, so I'm just going to have to kind of wing it here. I'm going to be talking about part 4 of my Army series, but a specific date, and it's a date that I believe was the catalyst for all the problems that we face, especially in this country, and that's September 11th, 2001. So we're going to just get right into it here in a moment. If you've been enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Tell me something down in the comments that you like about it, something you don't like about it. If you were in the military, or even if you weren't, if you want to talk about September 11th, 2001, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I always enjoy comments and thumbs up on videos, and if there's anything you ever want to talk about, you know where to find me. So let's get right into it. I was at my final duty station of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I hadn't been there terribly long. I don't really remember the exact days. Again, my memory is just really not what it once was. But I was at my final duty station. I was the new guy at the unit, so I got kind of volunteered for a lot of different assignments. My unit was very short-handed. We were about 40 people short of what we were supposed to be. So I got kind of cross-trained in a lot of different stuff. I was helping out with personnel files. I was helping out with mechanical stuff, which is funny because you don't want me near the motor pool. I've talked about it in previous Army videos. I don't have any business taking apart engines or repairing vehicles. Not my cup of tea. If you're looking for a recipe for disaster, I'm the person, but just not really something I'm skilled at. I was also cross-trained in NBC, which is nuclear, biological, and chemical operations. That was kind of neat. I didn't go to like the full training, but I went to an NBC course there on Fort Bragg. It's kind of funny because I believe, or it was at least at the time, NBC, the job training, the AIT for that was where I did my basic training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. But anyway, it was just kind of like a crash course on that. So I was like a jack of all trades. My main job was still 92 Yankee at the time, unit supply logistics. I don't know if it's changed its nomenclature description now. I'm talking about 20 plus years ago. So anyway, long story short, I'm there at Fort Bragg, and my best friend from the Army is right down the street from me in another unit, and the other 10 12 guys that we were all good friends with from Fort Lee, Virginia, from our AIT, all the guys that went to airborne school together, plus 2 guys that didn't, we all ended up on Fort Bragg at various different duty stations and posts, so we were still fairly close at the time. And I remember that particular week, I don't remember what day it fell on. I think it was a Tuesday. I should know this. I really don't, but I was in driver's training. I was learning to drive the LMTVs. I knew how to drive a Humvee, but the larger vehicles, troop transport, stuff like that, or supply transport vehicles. And I believe it was the second day of training for that. And we were sitting in the classroom, waiting for the sergeant to come in that was doing the instructions. And he comes in the room, and we start the class. Everything's, normal. I mean, at the time, I don't know how it is nowadays. I can only speak to when I was in. There were 3 cycles a year. There was something called mission cycle, where you were always ready to go. I mean, 2 hours you could be sent off to anywhere in the world. You had to be on heightened awareness, ready status to go, all packed up. We weren't on that. We might have been on what's called support cycle. That's where you kind of help out with stuff around the base, doing odds and ends, clean up, and all kinds of stuff. Then there was a 3rd cycle, which for the life of me, I can't remember. That's kind of when you're a little more relaxed. I don't think we were on that. I think we were on mission cycle. Again, not super relevant to the story, but just kind of want to give you some background. So there we are in the class, and they had a TV in there with a VCR. This is 20 years ago, so they still had some old Army tapes and whatnot. And we're doing the written portion of the class, and the sergeant's cell phone rings, and he's like, "Okay, excuse me for a second, guys." Well, he opens his cell phone, and I hear screaming on the other end. Now, my devious mind, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, he was cheating on his wife, he got caught, she busted him, she's cursing him out, But of course, I didn't know at the time what was going on. So I just, everybody's like staring at each other, like, what's going on? She's screaming over the phone. And he walks over to the TV. TV's plugged in. Yeah, it had a VCR, but it also had cable. He turns on the TV, and just as he turned on the TV, we saw the second plane hit the World Trade Center. So, for a moment, there's just this sense of shock, and you're like, is that a movie? Like, it just didn't seem real, I mean, it literally felt like I'm watching, Die Hard 7 or something. Like, it just didn't sink in. So, instantly, he's like, class dismissed, everybody go back to your units ASAP, await instructions. Now, I was a PFC. That's the third rank from the bottom. There's the private first class, E3, bottom of the barrel kind of guy. Not a lot going on, not a lot of knowledge that I would have. Yeah, I had the top secret clearance from the previous job that I had, failed out of, but it really didn't apply, and I wasn't like put in that position. Again, really junior enlisted. So go back to my unit, and everybody is just kind of running everywhere. It's pandemonium. Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what's coming. Next thing I know, I get my captain, his phone's ringing. The first sergeant's in there with him. The officers are all kind of running around trying to get everybody organized. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody. Captain comes to me. He's like, get your full battle rattle, get your rifle, get out on the street and do guard duty. Not really something that hadn't been done before, but it was just kind of like, whoa, this is real, I get my body armor, I get my helmet, I get my rifle, I get my gear, I go out to the street, and I'm in the middle of the street, and there's a guy about a block down, so I'm kind of yelling at him, asking him if he knows anything, if he's heard anything, nothing. Now, to my right is my barracks. To my left was our division, not our division, I'm sorry, our area headquarters. 82nd Airborne Division headquarters was about 2 blocks away. It wasn't far, but we were in front of what was called DIVARTY, Division Artillery, because I was in an artillery unit. So I'm out there for about half an hour. It gets eerily quiet. All I see is like the guy across the street that I had been trying to communicate with. Well, next thing you know, I see a Humvee drive by, and I see the star on the license plate, and the base commanding general gets out. So it's like instantly I snap up to attention. I give him a salute. He goes into our division artillery headquarters, and I'm like, whoa. Like, then it kind of started to really sink in, like, this is real. This is not a drill. This is not a movie. This is real. Anyway, he's in there a couple minutes. He comes out. He leaves. Maybe 20, 30 minutes after that, somebody came out to relieve me. They're like, hey, Captain wants you back in the barracks. So I go back in. And, of course, everybody's talking. It's like high school. It's almost like, everybody's throwing around theories and ideas, but nobody really knows what's going on. So, I don't remember talking to my mom and my stepdad or my cousin or any of my friends or anything. I do remember my dad called me. And so, of course, it's in the barracks. It's pandemonium. It's noisy as hell. I had my old flip phone at the time. This is long before smartphones, So I walk outside in front of my barracks, and my dad was like, hey, I saw this on TV. What the hell's going on? And as I walked out the door, I noticed there was a sergeant standing there in front of our building. Never seen this guy before, never saw him again. Didn't recognize him, no idea who he was. He was just standing out there. And I'm like, Dad, man, I don't know. I don't know if we're getting shipped somewhere. I don't know if we're under attack. He spins to me, this guy, with this angry look on his face, grabs my cell phone out of my hand, throws it down to the ground, smashes it with his boot. And he starts cursing at me, screaming. He's like, you son of a bitch. How dare you do that? You don't know who's listening. What the hell is wrong with you? And drags me by the collar back into my captain's office, curses me out, I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm sorry. I get what you're saying, but it's just a natural reflex. I'm just reacting. I wasn't scared. I'll be honest with you. I was not scared. I was confused. I was uneasy, but I wasn't really scared. Look, I knew when I joined the Army, I wasn't joining the Girl Scouts. There was a chance that I'd have to go into battle and I might die. that wasn't like, it wasn't a secret, you know. I mean, you sign enough paperwork, you kind of know. And I knew if I went, I wasn't going alone. You know, when like they were going to drop little Private Scavillo into some enemy country by himself and say, you know, clean it up. So I wasn't scared, but I was just kind of uneasy. Again, confused. You know, we were kind of being kept in the dark as far as what was going on. Um, if I'm not mistaken, my best buddy in the army was right down the street. They were on mission cycle, and I think it was several days before they were even told what was going on. Like they got shipped off to a hangar in preparation of being sent somewhere, and it was like total radio silence. Couldn't get a hold of him. Nobody told him anything. They were just, you know, kind of sitting, hurry up and wait. One of the big things in the army. Um, anyway, so I'm trying to remain calm. I get cursed out. You know, the captain's like, give him a break. You know, he kind of he reprimands me, but he kind of tells the sergeant again, who never saw before, never saw again, like, you know, take it easy, man. He's just kind of, he's like, you know, you understand what my captain's like. You understand what you did? Yes, sir. I understand. I apologize. He's like, okay, end of story. You know, sorry about your phone. Don't do it again. Okay. So, you know, I go back into, we had like kind of like a recreation room for the barracks there. You know, it was all single guys. So basically, we all shared, you know, a ton of us, I don't know, 50, 60 of us, how many were in there. You know, you have a recreation room, you had like a pool table, big TV, couches. It was kind of right across the CQ desk, which is the desk when you come into the building to check in. So we're all sitting in there. You know, mind you, I was 25 years old at the time. I had been out in the real world. I didn't join the army to shoot people and blow shit up. You know, I joined the army for a lot of different reasons. I've talked about it in my previous videos. I'll probably talk about it again. But, you know, killing was not it. I was not a pacifist. I was not against it. If duty called and that's what I had to do, or my life depended on it, or if a friend's life depended on it, I would have done what I had to do. I would assume. I don't know. I never got the chance. So, you know, I'm sitting around, and everybody in the unit was younger than me. They were kids, you know, 18, 20, 21 years old, whatever. I remember just this whole unease. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. Nobody was telling us anything. It was like media blackout. Later that night, I don't know what time it was. I'm assuming it was that night. You know, good old George Bush gets on TV, so the captain kind of huddles us all into the rec room there. He gets the whole unit together, as many people as he could, whoever was there at the time. You know, he's like, all right, everybody in here, listen, sit down, shut up. You know, and Bush is talking about, oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to this, and we're going to get them, and did it. And I remember one guy in particular. I can't remember this guy's name. I remember his face clear as day. He was an artillery guy. He's just like, yeah, mother effer, we're going to go kick some ass, and da-da-da. I remember I just kind of looked at him, and I was like, how can you be so enthusiastic about, you know what I mean? Like there's this whole misconception about the military. People, there might be the oddball that does join the military for that purpose, to get their rage out and, you know, hope that they can kill people or whatever. But 99.9% of the military is not like you see in movies and read about. You know, it just kind of caught me off guard. I was like, seriously, dude? Like, that's really what you want, you know? But people, you know, look, we were emotional, we were hyped up, we didn't know what the hell was going on. I can understand, you know, and young man, adrenaline, you know, like I said, I was 25, my adrenaline was going, but I was experiencing a different feeling than this kid was. Anyway, you know, things kind of calmed down. We saw it wasn't like a consistent attack, it was kind of like the one and done thing. Now, me being from New York, I had a different reaction than a lot of people. Again, I'm not a city person, but like I said, one of my friends, no, unfortunately, I kind of had a falling out with him. You know, we haven't talked in over 20 years, unfortunately, since I left New York. He worked like a building over, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, he was caught in that chaos. Not in the Twin Towers, but he was caught in that whole chaos. He quit his job the next day, and as far as I know, he's never gotten back into the city. I can't say I blame him. You know, I'm sorry that happened to him. I'm sorry that there was so much senseless loss of life, and all the damage that it's done in the years subsequent, the war, the people that have been lost. I don't want to say for what, but I mean, I don't want to get political or ideological here, but it's like, we're claiming to go into these other countries and want to fight for freedom when the government here is restricting our freedom. It's like kind of the polar opposite. So anyway, again, not scared. Things kind of died down after that. We were just kind of on edge in a way. Still not knowing. Still, they really weren't telling us much. Eventually, within the next week or so, we kind of found out what happened, and there was a lot of like, well, sit around and wait. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to go. We don't know what's going to happen. Da, da, da. Again, I was a low-level guy, private first class. I had been injured in a jump. I want to say it was either November or December of 2000. So I wasn't physically 100%. I was on what they call a P3 profile, where I was still exercising. I was still doing 80 to 90% of what I could do before, but I couldn't keep up the way I had because I had the back injury. So I want to say maybe October or November of that year, they sent a contingent of soldiers from my unit, off to Afghanistan. And I remember getting called into the first sergeant's office, but not my first sergeant, because we were the headquarters platoon. He was like the Alpha Battery. Battery is what they call, a group of the artillery soldiers. So anyway, I get called in there because they had a need for supply guys. And he called me in there, and he's like looking over my paperwork. I had seen him in the hallway, never really spoke to him, obviously, and he was like, "Okay, son, da da da." We go through all this stuff back and forth, and then he's like, "I see on here you're injured." I said, "Well, yes, First Sergeant, I was, but if you need me to go, I'll give you everything you got." He's like, "You're not 100%. I don't want you," and kind of cast me aside. He's like, "That's it. Go back to your unit." That was kind of an interesting feeling, I mean, again, I think back to that younger kid who was all hyped about going and kicking ass. I wasn't that way at all, but there was always that part of me that wondered, did I have what it takes? Would I have been able to hack it? So I would have loved to have gone, but unfortunately, I never deployed, because I got injured. But there's a lot of guilt in that. And I will tell you, because my friends that I served with, some of them have deployed 4 or 5 times over there, gotten injured over there. My best friend, from the Army, he went. That was the only time we hadn't been somewhere together, the time we were in, and he had a horrific experience over there. He was injured. And for those of you who know me, guilt is a huge part of my life. Guilt is something I always bear, and grief for, time lost, opportunities lost. So there's always been a part of me that's wondered, would I have had what it takes to go there? Could I have had could I have facilitated a different outcome for my friends that went over there and those of them that got hurt? It's one of those things I'll never know, but you always carry. It's not survivor's guilt, because it's not quite like that, but it's along those lines, Anyway. Because I'm running later than I have been in videos. I've normally been keeping videos a lot shorter than this, but this is one of the ones that I knew would kind of go a little bit longer. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me. I'll try to keep it reasonable amount of time here. But the reason I said earlier in the video, I believe that September 11th was the catalyst for all the change we have in this country. I was born in 76. I grew up in the 80s, teen years in the 90s, in the melting pot in New York. Back then, nobody gave a shit about your politics, about your ideology. We argued about what song you like, what's better, Star Trek or Star Wars, what sports teams you like. Like, you could have a civilized conversation with somebody who had a completely polar opposite view of you, and you wouldn't have a problem. Can you say that about the world today? Can you say that about our country today? Look how divided we are. I really feel that, yeah, for the first couple of weeks afterward, patriotism was at an all-time high, and everybody was having a flag, and everybody was getting together with your neighbor. What happened? I mean, what happened to that feeling? I could go on for hours about this. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to say that I really think that is when the evil that kind of has taken a foothold in our country and in our society came to pass. That's when the division started. That's when the vitriol that you see every day in the cesspool of social media, any website you go to that's got a comment section, it could be an article. I go to a lot of video game websites or entertainment websites, movies, music. Every single fucking, excuse my French, comment section, whatever the article is about, it's got to break down to politics, ideology, people yelling and screaming back at each other. Frankly, I'm sick of that shit. I'm really considering getting off of social media. I've pretty much had my fill of it. People are so blind. Like, there's stuff right in front of their eyes, and they refuse to see it. Again, I don't want to get political. I don't want to get ideological in my videos, like I don't anymore in my writing on Facebook. But that's when everything changed. I really look back on my life. I'll be 45 years old this month. That's when I feel everything went to shit. Anyway, September 11th. Again, growing up in New York, it kind of hit me a little bit harder. I didn't know if any of my friends had been affected by this. How many countless innocent lives were lost, on the planes, in the buildings, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, civilians, and for what? I mean, seriously, what? Everybody's got ideas about it. Everybody's got theories about it. I don't want to get into that. I don't wear a tinfoil hat. I've got my thoughts on it too. I don't really want to talk about that so much. I just say that I really think that was the day that what used to be America changed into, metamorphosized into this shit that we have nowadays. This division and all this hatred and all this. It's like we're sitting here arguing over left and right, up and down, black and white, gay, straight, whatever the pronouns of the day are. Let me quickly say this, and then I'm gonna stop the video. There's a meme. I used to be big on memes for a while. For a couple of years, my whole Facebook wall was full of them. I actually deleted well over 2,000 of them a couple of years ago. I realized I was caught up in it, and I try very hard not to use them anymore. I try to speak my own words. I speak for myself. I don't speak for anybody else. If you agree with me, great. If you don't, that's your business. But there's a meme a couple of weeks ago about you go in the desert, you pick up a jar of red ants, and then you pick up a jar of black ants, you put them together, you shake it, and you spill it out, and they start fighting each other and killing each other. People are focused on who's the red ant, who's the black ant. Nobody's focused on who's shaking the jar. Okay. I'm really going over my limit here with the ideological, political stuff, which I don't like to do anymore because of the division, because of the hatred. Those of you who know me, I'm a very old school person. I miss the communal feeling that you don't have nowadays. So anyway, that's basically my experience with September 11th. I stayed in the Army still until 2002, August of 2002, before I was medically chaptered out because of my injuries. A lot of friends of mine went over there. None that I know personally died over there, but people in that contingent died. People that went in my stead. So, my best friend, he had a horrible experience over there, and I knew about it. I knew that he had a horrible experience, but it was almost 20 years before he sat down and told me, and I never pressured him. I told him, I love you like my brother, man. Whenever you're ready, whenever you want to talk about it. and he finally talked about it maybe 3-4 years ago, whenever it was. I don't know that I could have done anything, but I would have liked to have been there with him, with the guys, not just him, but with the guys. I don't know if a lot of my old Army buddies resent me for not being there with them. I'll never know if I had what it takes to hack it or not. It's just a day that is something I'll never forget. It's a sad day every year. I don't. Sometimes I'll write something about it, but I don't. I don't glorify it. I don't. There's just so much I could say, but I'm already at 25 minutes. I'm already way longer than any video I've done for a long time. I'm going to stop now. I've got one more video in my Army series where I'm going to talk about, post September 11th until the time I got out, and then my life after the Army. I do apologize. This video went longer than planned. The last time my first ever quote-unquote vlog video conversation that I had with my best Army buddy, we talked about this for close to an hour for a channel that he helps run called View Change. It's about veterans and checking on veterans, and we discussed September 11th on that. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry this went long. It's just an emotional thing for me, having been in the Army, having been from New York, and seeing the after effects of it, and the lies and the BS and the cost in lives and dollars and all these other intangibles. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. Please leave something down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you were in the military at the time, if you're a military veteran, even if you had nothing to do with the military, if you are from New York, if you experienced September 11th firsthand from another angle, I would definitely love to hear from you and chat about it if you like. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and being patient, as I haven't been able to do as many videos lately. Hopefully that will change, but we just gotta have to see. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me. Take care.